Did you know that in Ohio, the cost of living has risen faster than retirement income for nearly a decade, and by 2026, many retirees are spending over half of their monthly income just to stay housed and fed? Here's the shocking part: for thousands of seniors, retirement no longer means rest or security. It means constant calculation, skipped meals, and the quiet fear of opening utility bills. Ohio was once a safe haven for retirees, but that promise is cracking fast. Imagine this: you worked for 30 or 40 years, did everything right, saved what you could, and finally retired. But now, every trip to the grocery store feels like a gamble. Rent jumps, food prices climb, medical bills stack up. Your income stays the same, yet life keeps getting more expensive. And there's no rewind button, no overtime, no easy fix. So the question is no longer, can you enjoy retirement? It's, can retirees in Ohio even hold on? Stay with me, because what's driving this crisis may surprise you. Number 1. Shift from mandatory to voluntary digital ID. At first glance, the word voluntary sounds harmless, even reassuring. But here's the problem: when systems quietly shift from mandatory rules to voluntary digital participation, the pressure doesn't disappear, it simply becomes invisible. In Ohio and across the country, more services are being redesigned around digital ID systems, from healthcare portals and insurance access to housing applications and utility accounts. On paper, no one is forced to use them. In reality, opting out often means longer wait times, fewer options, or higher costs. For retirees who didn't grow up in a digital-first world, this creates a silent barrier that didn't exist before. The real danger lies in how fast these systems are becoming the default gatekeepers of everyday life. App-based verification, online-only forms, and automated identity checks are cheaper for institutions, but more complicated for seniors. Many retirees struggle with outdated devices, unreliable internet, or limited tech literacy. A forgotten password, a locked account, or a failed facial scan can delay access to medical care, benefits, or housing support. What used to be solved with a phone call or an in-person visit now requires navigating screens, codes, and apps, often with no human backup. That stress adds up quickly. And here's where costs quietly rise. Retirees may feel forced to buy newer smartphones, pay for faster internet, or hire outside help just to manage basic tasks. Those are new expenses layered onto already strained budgets. Worse, digital systems increase the risk of scams, identity theft, and errors, which hit seniors hardest and take months, or years, to fix. So while digital ID systems are marketed as efficient and optional, for many Ohio retirees they feel neither. They feel like yet another invisible force pushing everyday life out of reach, one login at a time. Number 2. Healthcare costs rising even after retirement. Many retirees believe that once they qualify for Medicare, their healthcare worries will finally ease. But for countless Ohio seniors, the opposite is happening. Monthly premiums, deductibles, copays, and prescription costs continue to rise year after year, quietly eating away at fixed incomes. Medicare may cover the basics, but it doesn't cover everything, and those gaps are where retirees feel the most pressure. Dental care, vision, hearing aids, specialist visits, and many essential medications still come with out-of-pocket costs that can't be avoided or delayed. What makes this even harder is that healthcare inflation often rises faster than regular inflation. While food and gas prices go up, medical costs tend to climb even higher, and retirees have little control over them. You can shop around for groceries, but you can't negotiate the price of a life-saving prescription. Many seniors are now forced to cut pills in half, delay doctor visits, or skip treatments just to make their budgets work. These choices aren't about comfort, they're about survival. And the stress of making them can take a serious toll on both mental and physical health. There's also the long-term risk that few retirees fully plan for: chronic illness or sudden medical events. One hospital stay, new diagnosis, or required procedure can trigger thousands of dollars in unexpected costs. For retirees already stretched thin by rent and utilities, this can drain savings almost overnight. What was meant to be a safety net becomes a countdown clock. Healthcare, once seen as a protected area of retirement, is now one of the biggest financial threats, leaving Ohio retirees constantly asking themselves a frightening question: what happens if my health gets worse? Number 3. Rent and housing costs no longer match fixed incomes. For decades, Ohio was known as a place where retirees could live comfortably on a modest, fixed income. That reality is fading fast. Rent prices across cities, suburbs, and even small towns have climbed steadily, while retirement income has barely moved. Social Security checks don't adjust fast enough, and pensions, if retirees are lucky enough to have them, remain locked in at old values. The result is a growing gap where housing consumes a dangerous share of monthly income, leaving less and less for everything else. Even retirees who own their homes aren't protected. Rising property taxes, insurance premiums, and maintenance costs have turned homeownership into an ongoing financial drain. Roof repairs, plumbing issues, or heating system failures aren't just inconveniences, they're budget-breaking emergencies. Many seniors find themselves house-rich but cash-poor, sitting on paper value they can't easily access without selling or taking on debt. And selling isn't simple when rental alternatives are just as expensive. The emotional cost is just as heavy as the financial one. Housing instability creates constant stress and fear, fear of rent hikes, fear of eviction, fear of being forced to leave a familiar community. Some retirees downsize not by choice, but by desperation, moving farther from doctors, family, and support systems. Others stay put and sacrifice essentials like food or healthcare to keep a roof over their heads. Housing was once the foundation of retirement security. Now, for many Ohio retirees, it has become the largest threat to staying afloat. Number 4. Food prices rising faster than retirement income. For many Ohio retirees, the grocery store has become one of the most stressful places to visit. Items that were once affordable staples, eggs, milk, bread, meat, fresh produce, now come with noticeably higher price tags. While workers may absorb these increases with raises or extra hours, retirees don't have that option. Their income is fixed, but food inflation is not, forcing painful trade-offs every single month. What makes this especially damaging is that food costs hit seniors every day, not once in a while. You can delay a vacation or postpone a home upgrade, but you can't stop eating. Many retirees now plan meals around price tags instead of nutrition, choosing cheaper, processed foods over healthier options. Over time, this can lead to worsening health conditions, higher medical costs, and lower quality of life. The irony is cruel. Trying to save money on food often leads to spending more on healthcare later. The emotional toll is just as heavy. Standing in line, watching the total climb higher than expected, quietly putting items back, it's an experience many retirees now know too well. Some cut portion sizes, skip meals, or rely on food pantries despite having worked their entire lives. Food was once a predictable expense in retirement planning. Today, it's a moving target, and for Ohio retirees, each grocery trip is a reminder that even the most basic necessity is becoming harder to afford. Number 5. Utility bills are becoming unpredictable and unavoidable. For Ohio retirees, utility bills used to be one of the few stable and predictable expenses in retirement. Not anymore. Electricity, natural gas, water, and trash services have all seen steady increases, and in some cases, sudden spikes that feel impossible to plan for. Winters are colder, summers are hotter, and extreme weather is more frequent, forcing seniors to use heating and air conditioning just to stay safe. These aren't comfort choices, they're health necessities, especially for older adults with medical conditions. What makes this especially painful is that retirees spend more time at home than working adults. That means higher baseline energy use, even when trying to conserve. Turning off lights or lowering the thermostat only goes so far when you're home all day. Many Ohio seniors now open utility bills with anxiety, unsure whether this month's cost will blow a hole in their budget. A single harsh winter or heat wave can push annual utility costs far beyond what retirees planned for when they first retired. The danger isn't just the bills themselves, it's what retirees sacrifice to pay them. Some delay medical appointments, skip prescriptions, or cut back on food just to keep the lights on and the heat running. Others risk their health by keeping homes too cold or too hot, hoping to shave a few dollars off the bill. Utility assistance programs exist, but they are often limited, complex, or underfunded, leaving many seniors just above the cutoff with no help at all. What was once a background expense has become a monthly gamble, adding yet another layer of stress to retirement in Ohio, and pushing more retirees closer to the edge than anyone expected. Number 6. Social Security increases don't keep up with real-life costs. On paper, Social Security payments rise almost every year, thanks to cost of living adjustments, or COLAs. But for many Ohio retirees, those increases feel almost meaningless. The reason is simple: COLAs are based on broad inflation data that doesn't accurately reflect how seniors actually spend money. Retirees spend far more on housing, healthcare, utilities, and food, areas where prices are rising much faster than the average inflation rate used to calculate adjustments. As a result, retirees are losing purchasing power year after year, even when their checks technically go up. A small monthly increase may look helpful, but it's quickly swallowed by higher rent, higher Medicare premiums, and higher grocery bills. Many seniors notice that their Social Security increase disappears before they even see it, leaving them feeling like they're running in place, or worse, slowly falling behind. Over time, this gap becomes dangerous. What starts as a few extra dollars lost each month turns into thousands of dollars over the course of retirement. Retirees are forced to dip into savings earlier than planned, delay necessary spending, or make long-term sacrifices just to stay afloat. Social Security was designed to be a foundation of retirement security, not a constant source of anxiety. Yet for many Ohio retirees today, it no longer feels like protection, it feels like a system that's quietly drifting out of sync with the reality of everyday life. If this video felt uncomfortably real, don't just move on, leave a comment and tell us which part hit closest to home. Your story could help someone else realize they're not alone. Before you go, watch our previous video, where we break down what retirees are doing right now to survive these rising costs. And if this content matters to you, please support our work by subscribing. It's just one click, but it helps us keep putting in the time, research, and effort to bring these stories to light. Number 7. Savings are being drained faster than retirees ever expected. For many Ohio retirees, personal savings were meant to be the safety net, the backup plan for emergencies, travel, or peace of mind. But rising everyday costs are forcing seniors to tap into those savings far sooner and far more aggressively than planned. What was once reserved for rare situations is now being used to cover monthly basics like rent, groceries, utilities, and medical bills. Each withdrawal may seem small, but together they quietly accelerate the countdown clock. The biggest danger is how inflation compounds over time. A retiree may budget carefully, thinking their savings will last 20 or 25 years, only to realize that higher costs are shrinking that timeline dramatically. Market volatility can make things worse, especially for retirees who rely on conservative investments that no longer keep pace with inflation. Every unexpected expense, a car repair, a dental bill, a home fix, hits harder when savings are already under pressure. Emotionally, this creates constant fear and second-guessing. Retirees begin asking themselves uncomfortable questions: should I spend this now, or will I need it later? What if I live longer than expected? The stress of watching savings decline can be just as painful as the financial loss itself. Instead of providing freedom and confidence, savings become a source of anxiety. For many Ohio retirees, the realization is sobering. The cushion they worked a lifetime to build is thinning faster than anyone warned them, and once it's gone, there's no easy way to replace it. Number 8. Limited ability to earn extra income after retirement. When costs rise, the common advice is simple: earn more money. But for many Ohio retirees, that option isn't realistic. Physical limitations, chronic health issues, and reduced stamina make many jobs impossible. Others face age-related barriers in hiring, or find that available work is low-paying, physically demanding, or unpredictable. The idea that retirees can easily pick up part-time work often ignores the realities of aging. Even retirees who want to work face new challenges in today's job market. Many positions require digital skills, online applications, and constant adaptation to new technology. For seniors who spent decades in non-digital roles, this creates another barrier to entry. Remote work sounds appealing, but it often demands fast internet, up-to-date devices, and technical confidence, things not every retiree has or can afford. The result is a dangerous assumption that retirees have a financial fallback when they don't. Without the ability to earn supplemental income, rising costs hit harder and faster. There's no overtime, no promotions, no career ladder left to climb. Every increase in rent, food, or healthcare lands directly on a fixed budget with no relief valve. For Ohio retirees, the lack of earning flexibility turns inflation into a one-way pressure, pushing them closer to the edge with few options to push back. Number 9. Family support is no longer guaranteed. For many retirees, there was once an unspoken belief that family would help if times got tough. But today, that safety net is far less reliable. Adult children are facing their own financial pressures: high rent, student loans, childcare costs, and job instability. In many Ohio households, younger generations are struggling just to stay afloat themselves, leaving little room to support aging parents financially. This shift creates a quiet but painful reality for retirees. Asking for help can feel like a loss of independence, and many seniors avoid it until they're already in crisis. Others assume help isn't available at all and suffer in silence, cutting back on essentials rather than burden their families. Emotional support may still exist, but financial support is increasingly out of reach, even in close-knit families. The absence of this backup plan makes rising costs far more dangerous. When rent spikes, medical bills hit, or savings run low, there's no longer a reliable cushion to fall back on. Retirees are forced to face these challenges alone, often later in life when adapting is hardest. What was once a multi-layered support system has thinned to almost nothing. For Ohio retirees, the loss of dependable family support turns financial stress into isolation, making an already difficult situation feel overwhelming and inescapable. Number 10. Constant financial stress is taking a real toll on health. The final, and perhaps most overlooked, pressure facing Ohio retirees isn't just financial. It's emotional and physical. Living on the edge month after month creates constant stress, and that stress doesn't stay in the mind, it settles into the body. Worrying about rent, food, medical bills, and utilities triggers chronic anxiety, poor sleep, and exhaustion. Over time, this kind of stress can worsen heart disease, high blood pressure, depression, and cognitive decline. What makes this especially cruel is the cycle it creates. Financial stress leads to declining health, and declining health leads to higher medical costs and fewer options. Retirees may avoid doctor visits, delay treatments, or ignore symptoms because they fear the bill more than the illness. This short-term survival strategy often leads to bigger problems later, both medically and financially. Instead of enjoying the years they worked so hard for, many retirees are stuck in survival mode. Every decision feels heavy. Every unexpected expense feels like a threat. Retirement was supposed to bring peace, stability, and dignity, but for many Ohio seniors, it now brings uncertainty and fear. This constant pressure is the final weight pushing retirees toward the breaking point, raising the most troubling question of all: how long can anyone live like this before something gives? As we've seen, what's happening to retirees in Ohio isn't the result of one single problem, it's the collision of many pressures hitting at the same time. Rising housing costs, higher food prices, unpredictable utility bills, growing healthcare expenses, and systems that no longer account for the realities of aging have turned retirement into a balancing act. For millions of seniors, the promise of stability after decades of work is being quietly replaced by constant uncertainty. And the most alarming part is that many of these changes happened slowly, almost unnoticed, until they became impossible to ignore. But this conversation isn't about fear, it's about awareness. Understanding what's driving this breaking point is the first step toward protecting yourself and the people you care about. When retirees recognize the forces working against them, they're better positioned to plan, ask questions, seek assistance, and make informed decisions. Whether that means adjusting budgets, exploring local support programs, downsizing earlier than planned, or simply staying informed, knowledge becomes a form of defense in a system that feels increasingly stacked. Most importantly, retirees are not failing, the system is changing around them. The rules that once defined a secure retirement no longer match today's economic reality. And that mismatch deserves attention, discussion, and solutions. If this video resonated with you, you're not alone. Share your thoughts, your experiences, and your concerns in the comments. Your voice matters more than you think. If you found value in this breakdown, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay with us as we continue exploring what retirement really looks like in today's economy. And remember, this content is for educational purposes only and should not replace professional financial or legal advice. Stay informed, stay aware, and most of all, stay connected.